Am I the asshole for not paying for my daughter's wedding, uni? When my children were born, my husband and I were determined to put aside money for their university, weddings, lives. We are not particularly well off but managed to scrape together almost $30,000 for each of our children by the time they were mid-teens. When our daughter, 24, was 17/18, she became involved in a very cliquey group of wealthy girls who were constantly showing off to each other. Long story short, but in an effort to impress these girls, our daughter committed identity fraud against me in order to open several credit cards and buy a car. She had no job and no way of paying the almost $45,000 of debt she incurred. My husband and I declined to press charges against her, but we wound up with $45,000 of debt that we couldn't afford to pay off. We ended up having to use the money set aside for our children's futures. We made it clear to our daughter at the time that she would no longer have that nest egg and that she would have to pay us back for the $15,000 taken from her brother's future nest egg. She got a job at a fast food place, went to therapy, did everything we asked and turned into a respectable adult. She never went to university but has worked her way up to being FOH manager for a small restaurant, and we are proud she has turned her life around. Our son turned 18 in January. He was supposed to go away to university in England this year but ended up taking a gap year instead because of COVID. As promised, we gave him the $30,000 and he has put most of it into a fund for university and future traveling and spent the remaining $4,000 on a car so he could get to his job. He works at a plumbing store. Our daughter came home for the first time since before COVID to tell us she was getting married to her boyfriend of 3 years. We were super excited and thrilled to see her. However, when she saw her brother's car in the driveway, she asked how he bought it and my husband reminded her of the fund. Long story short, she is now upset that we have given her brother $30,000 despite being reminded about what she did and how much it cost us. She is now demanding that if we want to be invited to her wedding, then we have to give her an amount equal to her brother. Honestly, we are heartbroken. We simply cannot afford to give her that kind of money even if we wanted to, and we thought she understood our position. I feel like a terrible mother for letting her down, but my husband is resolute that we did the right thing. We are the assholes here. Edit. I should make it clear, as I see comments assuming otherwise. She did pay back the $15,000 for her brother's nest egg.
Not the asshole. You already gave her that money, plus a $15,000 loan. Not the asshole. I'm sorry, your oldest child is such an asshole.
Not the asshole. Remind her she could be in a prison right now for her actions and has already spent 150% of her funds.
Not the asshole. She made her bed and now she's having to lie in it. She's lucky you didn't press charges. She got off very lightly and is being completely unrealistic in expecting more money from you. Not the asshole, and that is emotional blackmail that she is putting on you. Please don't fall for it and stand your ground.
Not the asshole. Call her bluff. Take the disinvitation with grace and say that you're sorry to miss the wedding, but you did the right thing.
Not the asshole. You say she's turned her life around, but she's willing to cut out her parents from her life over $30,000 that she technically already received. Tell her that $30,000 was burned when she stole from and committed identity theft against you. She burned it as a compromise of not going to prison for it. If she's this materialistic and willing to cut you out of her life over money, that's on her. Not the asshole. To begin with, it's wonderful you were able to create this nest egg for your children. Many parents cannot do as much. Your daughter is lucky she didn't end up in prison. She stole $45,000 from you, committed identity thief and fraud. She got off easy. She chose to spend her nest egg on clothes and a car of her own. I'm going to assume she paid the $15,000 back. Your son is spending his on university and a cheap car. Her responding like this is disrespectful to both of you and your son. Furthermore, it shows a lack of awareness and personal responsibility for the magnitude of the crime she committed.
Not the asshole. You're not a terrible mother, she's a terrible daughter. She committed fraud and basically stole from you. You owe her nothing. If she's gonna weaponize her wedding to get what she wants, then screw her. She's a toxic person. If you do muster up the money and pay, she's gonna weaponize anything in the future. Because she wants mommy and daddy to give her what she wants. One day if she has kids, it'll be, do, blank, or you'll never see your grandkids again. If she does do this, it's better to walk away instead of being manipulated until the kid hits adulthood or till you're in your grave. Also, why'd you let her get away with committing fraud and stealing money? That doesn't help you guys or her. It's clear you guys didn't teach her that actions have consequences.
Your husband is right. Though I'm confused by your use of both, my husband, and my wife, not the asshole.
NTA, she's emotionally blackmailing you. Your daughter needs to mature even if it means missing her wedding. It will hurt but will be better for her in the long run. Not the asshole. Previous judge had a point, this is emotional blackmail. I'll miss your wedding, but your punishment stands. Since you can't own up to your own mistakes, I'll just have to settle for photos and you'll still have to find a way to pay for your own wedding and college. You're just hurting yourself.
Not the asshole, but I'm sorry to have to say this. Your daughter has not turned her life around. Tell her to get the money from her therapist who clearly didn't finish the job. Not the asshole. Remind your daughter that she spent her money some 6 years ago when she bought a car while committing identity fraud and opened several credit cards.
Nope, not the asshole. She still owes you $30K. Shush is acting like an entitled brat at $. Hat. She committed a serious crime and cost you $45K in debt. My parents would have thrown my ass in jail. Don't give her a cent. She was privileged enough to stay out of jail and her parents forgiving enough to not press charges. That was her damn gift.
Info. What happened to the car she bought? If she tell her to sell it, then she can pay the wedding with her nest money. Thinking face. Not the asshole. Edit. Bad grammar.
Not the asshole. Your daughter is rude and entitled.
Not the asshole, especially because she could and would literally be in prison for felony fraud, theft charges had you decided to press charges. My aunt stole my grandmother's identity and racked up over $50,000 in debt, then got pissed when my grandma wrote her out of the will. Really? You don't know why they did that? Lol.
Not the asshole. Point out that she got $15K more than her brother.
Turned into a respectable adult. I disagree because a respectable adult wouldn't expect her parents to pay for her wedding after she shafted them out of thousands of dollars. Don't let her bully you into paying a dime towards her wedding.
Info. What happened to the car she bought with the stolen money? Was its value resale calculated into the total owed? Not the asshole. You are not a terrible mother. Your daughter is a terrible person. Remind your daughter that you gave her the $30,000 when she committed identity fraud and stole it from you. Instead of being so ungrateful, she should be counting her blessings and thanking you for not pressing charges against her. She could have and maybe should have spent time in prison and had a felony record. Your daughter is a selfish, ungrateful, and entitled
Not the asshole. She should be grateful that you bailed her out of all that debt. Most people aren't that lucky. Hopefully she'll come to her senses. If not, I real feel for you, as that's an awful position she's put you in, but she made her bed.
Not the asshole. If I'm reading this correctly, she only paid you back $15K of the $45K that she took. Try something like this. Dear daughter, we understand you are upset that your brother received $30K from us and, in your opinion, you did not. We would like to remind you that there is still $30K unpaid from the $45K that you stole from us as a teenager. Since you demand $30K for your wedding, we are willing to see this as breaking even and move on from this unpleasantness. If you continue to feel otherwise and insist on disinviting us from your wedding, it will truly hurt us, but we will respect your wishes and not attend. We are sorry that once again you feel the need to place the importance of monetary gain ahead of the importance of familial connections. Your forgiving parents.
Not the asshole. And if you did give her the money, would you then be giving your son an additional $30,000 for his wedding?
Not the asshole. You did give her $30,000. She spent it on being an idiot. Giving her more would be unfair to your son. Absolutely not the asshole. You were probably not serious enough about her repaying the remaining $15K towards her brother's fund, which led to her feeling entitled enough to make such a demand now. Such a person is never going to be satisfied whatever you give, and if you give in to her demands, you risk your relationship with your son, who is blameless in the whole thing. Not the asshole. It's good that she has paid back that $15,000, but that doesn't mean you suddenly have an obligation to give her $30,000 after she had to spend her share paying you two back.
Not the asshole. I would tell her that her brother is entitled to another $15,000 before she gets a penny, as that is what she blew in goods you paid for.
Not the asshole. She committed fraud and put you and your husband in a very bad spot. Her not having that money is a direct result of her actions. Actions have consequences. I'm so sorry she is trying to blackmail you into giving her money you don't have. I hope she comes to her senses when she cools down.
It sure doesn't sound like your daughter became a respectable adult. She is basically holding your wedding invitation at ransom. Your husband is right. The two of you did the right thing. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Get your daughter and son-in-law together and explain she already has the money, because I bet the future husband knows nothing about what she has done and is capable of. Also maybe talk to her again and ask why after all you both did for her, i.e. having a college fund and not pressing charges on her, is she acting so entitled? Maybe word it nicer, or not, it might bring her back to reality.
Not the asshole. Tell her the fact that she can now pass a police check proves she got every cent you allocated to her. No offense op, but she's an aw.
Not the asshole. Your wedding gift is the fact that she didn't spend any time in prison.
Not the asshole. You already gave her $45K.
Not the asshole. Your daughter's entitlement is astounding. Not the asshole. She already got her money. And therapy may not have worked and she may not be the respectable adult you think she is.
Not the asshole. Unless you periodically dropped her on her head as a child, her selective amnesia today is not your issue.
Not the asshole. Regardless of all the other condemning context, threatening to withhold an invitation to your wedding from your own parents unless they pay for the entire thing is top-tier brat behavior. It's not a difficult concept to grasp that your choices, especially committing literal identity fraud, have consequences. She should be glad hers is not getting a free wedding, and not, I dunno, jail.
Not the asshole. I'm sorry, but she's a brat. You don't owe her a penny. Hold your ground. If the wedding goes ahead, she'll probably change her mind about wanting family there for appearances if nothing else.
Not the asshole. She already spent her portion of that money when she was younger. Stick to your guns. By giving in to her, what kind of message will you be sending to your son? Apparently your daughter needs more therapy because the entitlement she displays is way out of whack and she seems to have claimed no responsibility for her actions. If she doesn't want to invite you to the wedding, also remind her that the reason she doesn't have a criminal record is her wedding gift then.
Not the asshole. Your daughter only came home when she wanted more money from you and now she is blackmailing you to get it. If you give in, this will never end. She will use any future grandchildren as leverage for money. She may have repaid the $15,000 but she has not lost her sense of entitlement. She could have gone to jail for identity theft. You already have done a lot to save her from herself. You do not owe her any more money.
Not the asshole. She is trying to manipulate you out of money. Please don't feel guilty. You did nothing wrong other than declining to press charges so she can see what the real world is like. You've already given her $30,000 plus $15,000 loan. Just because she paid it back doesn't erase the fact it had to be used for her. It's not that you're letting her down. It's that you're not allowing yourself to be manipulated.
Not the asshole. She blew her fund when she stole from you. She doesn't get a free ride just because.
Not the asshole. She messed up and used her $30,000 to fix her identity theft fraud and is now demanding that money again if you want to be in her life? No. Not the asshole. It seems that she still hasn't understood the lesson that actions have consequences. By committing fraud, her consequence was to lose the money set aside for her to pay for what she took. Now, as a result of that, she is not entitled to that money anymore. She used it to pay for what she did during her teens. Tough luck. Not the asshole. I'm glad that she paid back the $15K and has turned her life around, so to speak. But how much has she actually learned and grown as an adult if she is willfully ignoring why she had to pay all that money back in the first place? You may have to be very blunt even if it seems harsh with her and remind her why you can't give her any money for her wedding, because she already spent it.
Does your daughter have amnesia? If not, how could she forget she wasted her fund? Clearly the therapy had not really changed her, as she is still entitled. Well done, you have raised a brat.
Not the asshole, it sounds like she never actually changed.
Not the asshole. You didn't let her down, she let herself down. She has to live with the bad choices she made.